Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we'll be taking a look at an updated tier list ranking every single card in the game for the new meta. And we have some massive changes on this tier list from my previous one because of the last update and a new card in Clash Royale. By the way, this video is based off my personal opinion after playing Clash Royale every single day over the past 5.5 years, as well as the win rates and use rates of the actual cards provided by the website Royale API. In fact, at the end of the video, after my tier list is done, we'll take a look over at Royale API to see the actual stats behind some of these cards if you guys and girls are interested. But let's go ahead here and dive right on into it. I've got 5 different tiers prepared for you all right here, ranging from S tier, aka the strongest cards in the entire game, all the way down to F tier, aka very weak cards that could probably use a buff or a rework. So first things first, the newest card in Clash Royale, the Goblin Drill. Obviously this card came out absolutely busted and was emergency nerfed after like a week or so. In fact, less than a week at that, I believe. But as we're seeing, the Goblin Drill is still an extremely strong card despite the last nerf, and I would say it is still an S tier card. A lot of the best decks in the entire game are all using the Goblin Drill in there. It has so much utility on offense and defense. You can basically use it as a win condition, or you can use it to pull enemy tanks if you need to. It is just currently one of the best cards in the game, so definitely going to make it onto the S tier of our tier list today. The P.E.K.K.A over here, going to be a B tier, aka a good card that is balanced and does what it's supposed to do, but isn't overpowered or isn't underpowered in any way. It just basically does what it's supposed to do. Battle Ram is going to be B tier as well, aka good. Bomb Tower here, B tier as well. The Bomber Boy, however, this is a card that was a very interesting change. It used to be 3 elixir many months ago, and then it was kind of reworked down to 2 elixir, but now dying to arrows. And honestly, the Bomber is absolutely absurd. Very strong card in Clash Royale. A lot of the best decks in the game actually use that Bomber because of the insane utility of the 2 elixir costs, baiting out arrows, but also destroying things with that massive splash damage. And because everybody is using Goblin Drill right now, the Bomber is one of the most elixir efficient responses for the Goblin Drill. So therefore, it is currently an S tier card in the current meta. Now the Bowler over here is going to be a B tier card as well. Good / balance, even though it is also a good counter for the Goblin Drill. It is a 5 elixir cost card. Therefore, every time you use it for Goblin Drill, you are taking a -1 trade for that. So it isn't quite as good as the Bomber. Cannon over here did get buffed, but still is a below average card. Basically, the only deck in the entire game that uses the cannon is 2.6 Hog Cycle, and that's a very difficult deck to use successfully. Cannon card, however, A tier strong, might even be S tier. The Cannon card is an extremely strong card in Clash Royale. Despite the movement speed change, it's still a very strong card. I don't think it's quite S tier material. Clone Spell is going to be B tier. It's good, does what it's supposed to do, is very matchup dependent, but when it works absolutely very well and can be very devastating. Dark Prince, boom, S tier. Dark Prince is another strong card right now, guys. Obviously because it is an equal trade for the Goblin Drill, but even by itself, even if the Goblin Drill wasn't even in the meta right now, the Dark Prince is still a very strong card because of splash damage, because of the charge attack, and because it does have that shield, allowing it to soak a high damage shot from things like Prince charges or P.E.K.K.A.s or Sparkus and stuff like that. So the Dark Prince does have a bit of utility with that shield. Dark Goblin over here, going to be a B tier, a good card. Archers as well, B tier good. Earthquake, B tier good. Electro Dragon, B tier good. Electro Giant, dude, this guy's a beast. S tier for sure. The E-Giant is one of those cards that's absolutely frustrating to face because it destroys everything with that counter attack. However, if you do use the Electro Giant, you'll notice that there are a few strategies that can hard counter it entirely. Most notably, things with Teslas or Goblin Drills are very effective against the Electro Giant because it has a very long pull distance, easily getting distracted by buildings like Teslas. However, the E-Giant is still an absolute beast. Just nail everything together. The counterattack destroys everything, and it's such a strong card in Clash Royale. Electro Spear going to be an A tier strong card. E-Wizard as well, A tier strong. Elite Barbarians previously were ranked S tier, but because of the recent change and the shifts in the meta, they've now fallen down to A tier. There's still a strong card above average in terms of relative power. However, because the meta is shifting towards splash damage cards to deal with the Goblin Drill, aka things like Bombers and Dark Princes and Valkyries being everywhere, the Elite Barbarians aren't quite as strong as they once were in the current meta. Elixir Pump over here going to be an F tier / weak card. Elixir Golem over here going to be C tier, below average. There are a few decks that do use the E-Golem properly, but they are very situational, very matchup dependent, and in a meta that's dominated by things like Dark Princes, Valkyries, Wizards, Bombers, and Mega Knights, it's just very, very hard to ever get any value with the Elixir Golem. Now, the execution over here going to be C tier, below average as well. Just the 5 elixir cost is extremely heavy, and it's very difficult to consistently get elixir value for the executioner, whereas something like a Bomber, another splash damage card, at a 2 elixir cost, it is way easier to consistently get value for that. Even if you waste a Bomber, you've only wasted 2 elixir, whereas an executioner, like, you basically always have to get value for it if you ever use it, because it is such a heavy card. Fire Spirit over here was recently changed to 1 elixir cost. Going to be an A tier card. An argument could be made for S tier, but I think it isn't quite as broken as things like E-Giant or the Goblin Drill. So Fire Spirit going in A tier. Arrows right now, B tier. They're good. They're balanced. Fireball is A tier strong. It is dominating the meta right now, just because of things like Mother Witch and stuff like that. Fireball is by far the best spell in the game right now. Firecracker over here, B tier. Fisherman, A tier. It just says a very, very strong utility card, can pull things off of your tanks like P.E.K.K.A.s, can pull things away from your towers like Golems, can activate the King Tower against many different units in the game, and overall the Fisherman with his slow effect and that pull is just a very strong card in Clash Royale. Flying Machine over here, B tier, good, balanced, very, very frustrating if you don't have a direct response like Fireball, but overall by itself is a B tier, good and balanced card. Free Spell here, I'm going to say C tier, below average. It's not quite up to par with the rest of the cards in the game. Furnace, however, dude, this card. I would honestly rank the Furnace S tier. There's one thing that's currently holding me back from ranking the Furnace as S tier, and that is the win rates and the use rates of the card right now. I'll show you guys at the end of the video, provided by Royale API. It doesn't have the highest use rates or win rates right now, but it offers so much value. It is absolutely busted. How many Fire Spirits are guaranteed to get to the tower? And the thing is, with the Fire Spirits the way they are right now, there aren't any 4 elixir cards that can deal with the Fire Spirits that spawn from the Furnace. Like previously, a Musketeer or an E-Wizard or a Baby Dragon would deal with the Fire Spirits that would spawn out from a Furnace, but under the current design, the Fire Spirits will actually hit their target against things like a Musketeer, which means there are very, very limited responses for a Furnace in the game. I think it's absolutely busted, but if the win rates were higher for the card, I would rank it S tier, but I'll show you guys at the end of the video the win rates aren't that high, which is why it's only on the A tier here. Giant going to be a B tier, good and balanced card. Giant Skeleton is currently below average. It did get a bit of a buff in that last balance update, but in my opinion, isn't quite enough to bring it back into the meta. However, it is no longer in the F tier. Snowball is A tier, strong. Most of the small spells are. Goblin Barrel is good, balanced B tier. Baby Dragon, A tier for sure. Just a very reliable splash damage dealer. If you're asking why Baby Dragon is A tier and Executioner is C tier, it's because of the 4 elixir cost. That 1 less elixir makes a huge difference, and the Baby Dragon is also flying, which gives it even more utility in Clash Royale. Goblin Cage, A tier strong card in Clash Royale, just a very, very good. Basically, none of the spells offer any value against the building form of the Goblin Cage. It has the ability to pull enemy tanks. The Brawl that spawns out afterwards deals a ton of DPS and can destroy things like Golems or Giants and Hog Riders quickly, and it's just overall a strong building Clash Royale. Goblin Gang, going to be A tier as well. Goblin Giant, B tier, balanced good. Goblin Hut here. I mean, you know what? Maybe an argument could be made that's good and balanced, because realistically, if they buffed the Goblin Hut anymore, it would be broken. So yeah, let's go ahead and throw it in B tier. Good balance. Goblin Hut, you got to raise, my friend. Good job. Goblin's going to be here, B tier, good balance. Zatspell is A tier for sure. Battle Healer is B tier, good balance. Zap is B tier. Golem got nerfed, but honestly, Golem is still like, it's a strong card. But here's the thing. Golem isn't the problem in Golem decks. In my opinion, Golem decks are overpowered because of things like Elite Barbarians, Night Witches, Tornado, and stuff like that. It isn't necessarily the Golem that's the problem in those Golem decks. So Golem is B tier, good and balanced. Graveyard B tier right now. Guards F tier, very, very weak. Just overall, just need a rework or a buff pretty badly. Heal Spirit here is going to be a B tier, good and balanced card. Currently being outshined by things like the Fire Spirit and the Electro Spirit. Balloon is B tier, good balance. Hog Rider B tier. Hunter, I'm sorry, buddy, but you are still below average. The Hunter used to be one of the strongest cards in the entire game. However, his first attack speed was nerfed in a balance update, and ever since then, he just hasn't been nearly the same and is currently C tier below average, in my opinion. I stole him here, A tier. Very, very strong card, 2 elixir, mini tank, offers insane utility with the ability to pull units to opposite lanes, or with the splash death damage, has the ability to kill things like skeletons or bats. So overall, A tier, strong card. Same thing with the Ice Spirit. Just strong card. Ice Wizard, unfortunately, is below average. This is a card that used to be all the way up here in A tier and S tier, but because of now dying to Fireball, it has fallen all the way down to C tier, below average. Just is not nearly what it used to be. Wizard here, F tier. Wizard, no. F tier? We'll go C tier. We'll go C tier, okay? Wizard is a controversial card. I get comments all the time saying, Shane, you ranked Wizard as F tier. It's busted. Well, the thing is, I'll show you guys the actual stats at the end of the video to back up what I'm saying here. But the Wizard is just a very hard card to get elixir value. You only really ever see the Wizard on mid-ladder trophy ranges. But once you start moving higher up in trophies, I guarantee you will see less and less Wizards being played because there's better options. There's more elixir efficient options that once you start mastering the interaction of the game, the elixir efficiencies become key to victory, and that's why as you move up in trophies, you'll start seeing more things like baby dragons start replacing things like wizards in previous strategies. Overall, at a 5 elixir cost, it is a very heavy card and just hard to consistently get elixir value. Obviously, if your opponent uses a minion horde, the wizard can just absolutely destroy it in one shot. But if your opponent has a brain, they won't use a minion horde into a wizard. But overall, it's just not one of the strongest cards in the game right now. Infernal Dragon going to be B tier, good balance. Expo B tier. Infernal Tower is below average currently. Knight is an A tier card, just a very strong mini tanking Clash Royale. Lava Hound B tier. Lightning Spell is B tier. Bandit, Bandit's A tier for sure. The Bandit has insane utility. 3 elixir, applies insane pressure. Because of the dash effect, it can deny things like Prince charges. It is overall just a very strong card in Clash Royale. Lumberjack B tier. Magic Archer is going to be a, you know what? I'm going to rank it B tier. Same thing with Mega Knight. This is one that many might disagree with as well. Lots of people think the Mega Knight is like S tier, but the Mega Knight by itself is not overpowered. Like, yeah, it has that insane spawn damage, but honestly, it costs 7 elixir. And things like a Knight, like if you use a Knight, you can counter a Mega Knight for a +4 trade. Bandit, Fisherman, Ice Golem, like there's so many like elixir efficient responses for the Mega Knight that if you play your cards properly, it won't appear as overpowered as it is. The trick, if you know your opponent has Mega Knight, don't use everything at the bridge. Don't spam all your units together when you know they're gonna drop a Mega Knight on top of it. Just save those cards, spread them out so they can utilize that spawn damage. Overall, by itself, Mega Knight is a B tier, a balanced / good card. When I say things are B tier, by the way, they're not weak. B tier is like the baseline of like what you want cards to be at power wise. Anything above B tier is like stronger than average. Anything below B tier is weaker than average, but B tier is basically where you want cards to be a good and balanced card in the meta. Mega Minion going to be a B tier card. Miner here is A tier. An argument can be made that Miner is now B tier because of the Goblin Drill being so OP and basically being a better alternative in most situations. But overall, Miner has the utility of being able to assassinate enemy units, being able to get chip damage to a tower, being able to be used on defense as a mini distraction if you need to. So therefore, I'm ranking A tier card. Mini P.E.K.K.A can be B tier, good. Minion Horde, F tier, very, very weak. The problem with Minion Horde here is that, honestly, there's so many efficient hard counters for it. Arrows, Fire Spirit for 1 elixir, Zaspel, Snowball, Ice Spirit, like E-Spirit. It's just very, very hard to get value for it, which is why I'm ranking it F tier. Just a very, very risky card. Minions, however, are B tier, good, balanced card. Mirror here is going to be F tier. Needs rework here, guys. Mirror is a bit of a kind of fun, kind of trolly card, but beyond that, doesn't have much substance in Clash Royale. Mortar. You know what? Mortar can be A tier here, because here's the thing with Mortar. It can be used defensively as a building if you need to. It can actually hit units behind a tank to assassinate all the support units on a push, and can also be used as a win condition. So therefore, I'm ranking it A tier for those reasons. Barbarian Barrel is going to be way up here in S tier. One of the best small spells in the game. Destroys swarm units. Has the Barbarian spawn out afterwards. Just therefore one of the best small cards in the game. Small spells, sorry. Mother Witch over here. Boom. S tier. Currently one of the strongest cards in the game. Mother Witch is an absolute beast. Infinite piggy spawn, high DPS output, fast attack speed, and so very punishing to so many of these different swarm cards down here. The Mother Witch is just absolutely one of the best cards in the game right now. Therefore, it is S tier. Musketeer is B tier, good balance. Night Witch, I'm going to throw Night Witch up here at A tier. And the only reason I'm ranking it A tier and not B tier is because I believe that Night Witch is the problem of Golem decks. Lots of people think Golem is overpowered. Golem first play is very, very annoying in Clash Royale. But I think one of the major problems with Golem decks is the Night Witch and the Night Witch bats more specifically. Because even if you deal with the Night Witch, there's so many bats that spawn out afterwards that you have to have an answer for that. And if your deck does not have Zaspel or Snowball, maybe you're running Log, they can be very, very hard to deal with. So Night Witch is an A tier card, in my opinion. Poison Spell, unfortunately, in the current meta, is B tier. Just because the Fireball is just basically always a way better alternative because of the Mother Witch being overpowered. Mother Witch dying in Fireball in one shot. Therefore, Fireball is OP and very needed to counter that Mother Witch. And therefore, Poison isn't as good because Graveyard isn't as popular because...
Stop it. Get some help.
The Mother Witch is absolutely absurd. So you can see how there's a bit of like cause and effect relationship here with some of the cards because of the Mother Witch being OP, having a bit of a ripple effect on different cards in the meta. Prince over here is going to be a B tier, good balanced card. Same thing with Princess and same thing, no, Rage Spell, sorry. You're below average, buddy. Actually, you know what? You can be F tier. I'm sorry, Ragey boy, but you are F tier. You're pretty weak, my friend. Ram Rider here is B tier. Rascal is B tier. Barbarian Hut below average. Rocket is B tier. Delivery is going to be, we'll rank it B tier. Royal Ghost is going to be A tier. Honestly, Ghosty Boys is a pretty strong card. It has the ability to go over the river, assassinate troops, and it has the invisibility effect as well. And it's a splash damage card that currently counters the Goblin Drill. So I'm going to go ahead and rank it A tier as well. Royal Giant, B tier, good and balanced. Royal Hogs, however, you know what? I'm still going to rank them A tier. Actually, you know what? They fall down right here, guys. Sorry, I changed my mind on the spot right here. Because of the meta being dominated by things like Fireball and Dark Princess and Bombers and Goblin Drills and Furnace and stuff like that, the Royal Hogs aren't nearly as strong as they once were. However, if we see a shift in some of these cards up here, they might rise back to A tier. But currently, under the current meta, Royal Hogs are B tier. Recruits, B tier. Skarmy, B tier. Skeleton Barrel is going to be A tier for sure. Dragons is going to be A tier. Actually, no, Dragons here B tier. Sorry. Skeletons here. Skeletons way up here. S tier. One of the strongest cards in the game. I know what you're saying right now. You're saying, Shane, Skeletons, they're 1 elixir. They die to Zaspel. They die to everything. They're so weak. What do you mean S tier? Well, here's the thing. The Skeletons at 1 elixir are one of the most elixir efficient cards in the entire game and offer so much utility in a wide variety of interactions. For example, let's say your opponent has a musketeer crossing the river. Throw skeletons on top of it, 1 elixir counters it, and now you have a +3 trade. Let's say they have a prince coming and charging. Drop skeletons down, boom. Charge are soaked up, plus you have 2 more distractions. The skeletons just for 1 elixir, you can never ever go wrong. If you waste them, oh well, it's only 1 elixir. But if you use them properly, they can offer so much value. They are a low risk, high reward card in Clash Royale, and one of the best cards in the game at that, in my opinion. Barbarians are B tier, balanced good, Sparky B tier. Spear Goblins are going to be A tier as well. Similarly to the Skeletons, they offer insane value for only 2 elixir cost, plus they have that swarm factor as well. Testa Tower, oh boy, S tier for sure. The Testa Tower has rise all the way to S tier. It's one of the most busted defenses in the entire game, and in my opinion, just lasts a bit too long for a 4 elixir cost card. Just an absolute beast in the meta right now. A log spell is going to be in A tier. Most of the small spells are. The Musketeer is B tier. Tombstone is going to be B tier. Let's see, Witch is going to be F tier. I'm sorry, Witch, and I'm sorry that people that use the Witch, she just isn't that good and doesn't offer too much value. You might have success with her on mid ladder, but beyond that, she just is a very easy card to counter effectively and for elixir efficient responses. Bats, way up here, S tier. Bats are absolutely busted, and basically for the same reason as the skeletons. Just 2 elixir, high DPS output, infinite distraction, and honestly, if your opponent doesn't have a response like Zatspell, they can offer so much utility. NATO spell here, boom, all the way up to S tier. NATO is absolutely busted. Basically, you can just rewrite history and place your opponent's cards wherever you want them to be with the NATO spell, and you have the utility of being able to activate King Tower against things like Hog Riders. It's just absolutely absurd. We also have Valkyrie. Valkyrie's going to be A tier over here, and Wall Breakers will be A tier as well. Wall Breakers are OP, Valkyrie's OP, but overall, that is my tier list right there. I don't think I missed any cards. What do y'all think? Do you agree? Do you disagree with anything on my list over here? If you had your own tier list, or if you could change anything, let me know down below in those comments. Now, speaking of win rates, let's quickly go over here and dive into Royale API. So this right here is the actual win percentages and use percentages of the cards provided by Royale API in Grand Challenges in the past 7 days. And the reason why we use Grand Challenge stats and not ladder is because Grand Challenge has tournament standard, whereas ladder, you have often higher level opponents or unequal card levels. I think you need to have an equal level playing field in order to accurately compare the power levels of the cards. So according to Royale API, sorted by the win percentages, the highest win rate cards in the entire game are things like Cannon Card, Fisherman, Skeleton Dragon, Lava Hound, Wallbreaker's up here. The Mother Witch currently has a 57% win rate and a super high 22% use rate, which is absolutely absurd. Goblin Drill, 17% usage, 57% win rate. The Bomber, previously mentioned Bomber, might be wondering why is it S tier? Check this out. 57% win rate, 21% use rate. Compare that to something like a 3 Musketeer, which I ranked B tier. You may be wondering, Shane, why is 3 Musketeer B tier if it has a win percentage of 57%? Well, the 3 Musketeers only has a use percentage of 1%. That means like one pro player might have won a few battles with 3 Musketeers, which skews the win rates up. But with a Bomber at 21% usage and still 57% win rate, absolutely absurd. Comparatively, all the way down here, you have things like the Wizard, 22% win rate, 4% usage, Witch, 24% win rate, Executioner, 31, Garrus, 33, Ice Wizard, 35, Minion Horde, 37. So overall, like, lots of these cards down here that I ranked on my F tier list could desperately use a buff or a rework. But overall, those are the stats of the actual cards. Let me know down below, guys, did any of these cards surprise you with their actual stats? And if you have any opinions on my you know what? I want to change one card here. Ice Spirit going down to B tier. I'm sorry. I saw your win percentage there, and it wasn't too good. And I think currently, Ice Spirit, you're being outshined by things like Fire Spirit and the E Spirit, my friends. So you are getting knocked down a peg and joining your brother, the Heal Spirit, at B tier. But overall, guys and girls, that's the end of the video. That is my tier list. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree. If you have your own card list ranking or whatever you want to change, let me know down below in the comments. But that's the end of the video, guys and girls. Thank you for watching. We shall see you in the next one.